सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। The fifth Anuvaka. नमो भवाय च रुद्राय च नमः शर्वाय च पशुपतये च नमो नीलग्रीवाय च शितिकण्ठाय च नमः कपर्दिने च व्युक्तकेशाय च नमः सहस्राक्षाय च शतधन्वने च नमो गिरिशाय च शिपिविष्टाय च नमो मीडुष्टमाय चेशुमते च नमो ह्रस्वाय च वामनाय च नमो बृहते च वर्षीयसे च नमो वृद्धाय च संवृध्वने च नमो अग्रियाय च प्रथमाय च नमः आशवे चाजिराय च नमः शीघ्रियाय च शीभ्याय च नमः ऊर्म्याय चावस्वन्याय च नमः स्रोतस्याय च द्वीप्याय च। So we have seen till Vruddhaya cha Samvruddhvane cha. Vruddhaya, so the oldest one. Samvruddhvane, the one who expresses as the prosperity. Vruddhaya cha Samvruddhvane cha. So if somebody is being called old, don't take it as an offense. You are being equated with Bhagavan Shiva himself. So today's mantra, repeat after me. Namo Agriyaya cha Prathamaya cha Nama Agriyaya cha, Namo Agriyaya cha Prathamaya cha. Agriyaya cha. Agriyaya cha, the one who agrees with everything. Agriya. Yeah, I agree. On a serious note, because this is not an English mantra, Agraganya, Agraja, Agra means the one who is the first one. In fact, it is not even the first one, the one who exists before everything came into existence. Such one is called Agriya. The one who existed before everything came into existence. Such one is known as Agriya. Prathamaya, the one who is the foremost one. Prathama, the first one. So salutations to that Shiva, to that Lord who was there before everything came into existence, and he is the foremost one. So the Veda mantras and various Upanishads, they say, Hiranyagarbham janayamasa purvam. Hiranyagarbham, the Brahma or Brahmaji, before he was born. Because technically speaking, all this which came into existence came after Brahma. So are we talking about Brahma here? The one who existed even before Brahmaji existed or came into existence. Hiranyagarbham janayamasa purvam. Before that, Hiranyagarbha was born, because he is called the cause of this entire existence that came forth, or everything that came forth into existence. Therefore, he is called Agriya. Agriya meaning the one who always existed. Everything else comes and goes in their presence. The second meaning is more beautiful one. I like the second meaning better. The first one was very dry meaning. The second meaning is Bhakta Vatsalya Rupena Agram Agachati Sa Shivaha Sreshtaha Ityarthaha. It's a beautiful meaning. Bhakta Vatsalya Rupena, because of his unbound compassionate heart. What does he do? Agram Agachati. He jumps forth first, he jumps forth. Before anything can happen to that devotee. Such Sreshta is Shiva, therefore he is called Agriya. So we know in Markandeya's story that he was supposed to live only for 16 years. The 16th year, Yama came. And he wanted to pull this Markandeya to Yamaloka. Then this Markandeya jumped across, held on to that Shiva Linga that he was worshipping. So the one who is the Niyama for the Yama, he jumped into action. He is just holding on. He didn't even call Lord Shiva to come forth and protect him. On one side was the noose pulling him, the other side was he holding on tightly to that Shiva Linga. And Bhagavan Shiva jumped in and he said, how dare you even touch somebody who is already in touch with me? And Yama gets confused. I said, but I am just doing my job. So, in doing your job, there are certain clauses, Mr. Yama. Now, what are the clauses? There are certain people that have been given immunity. So, the local cops cannot touch those who are under the, what is it called? Diplomatic immunity, right. DP, diplomatic immunity. Here also it is devotional immunity, not immune to the devotion, but those who are devoted, they are protected. And Bhagavan Shiva is always agram agachati. He jumps forth for his devotee. To that compassionate Lord, who always puts himself in the front and protects his devotee, therefore Agriya, salutations to that compassionate Lord. Prathama, very simple meaning. The first one. Because he is Agriya, he is also known as Prathama. And everything else is second after him. So, in every competition, he is the only first spot because he is Agriya. And therefore, he is called Prathama. In every assembly, in every worship, he is the one who is most worshipped or the most worship worthy. Is that paramatma alone. The most prominent one, Prathama, the second meaning is the most prominent one. Why is he so prominent? Because we have seen earlier, Sakala Guna Sampannaha. He has got all the gunas that you can think of in abundance. And what are the gunas that we are talking about? Sarvajnatva, Sarveshwaratva, Sarvantaryamitva, Sarvasristitva, Sarvabhoktritva, Sarvasamharakatva, Sarvavyapakatva, Sarvashakti Matvadi Guna Gana Vibhushitasya, Vedanta Vedyasya, Lokanugrahakarakasya, Bhaktanugrahavaradasya, Bhagavataha. I just rattled out the entire Arati. I feel whenever the Arati is being chanted in the temple, it's a very amazing feeling. Like, you're doing the royal presence, and he is the prominent one. So, how is he addressed? Deva Devasya, Asya Deva Devasya. Who is the Deva? Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayakasya. Aha. Not just this cosmos, but Akhilanda Koti. There are innumerable number of such systems. For all that, there is one supreme boss. Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayakasya, Sakala Nishkalatva, Nirgunatva, Sarva Vyapakatva. All the gunas are listed. And how are they? Sarva. Sarva, that which is always in abundance. There is never a time wherein it is not abundant. Therefore, he is the most prominent one. Rest of them all have a tenure. And if there is enough fault done, then they can be kicked out of their position as well. Indra, Nahusha becomes Indra, and he gets to irritate the Sapta Rishis and misbehave. and he immediately gets cursed. From Indra Padavi he comes down to Bhuloka as a python. What do you call it? Python? Boa constrict. So from there to here he can fall. Everybody who is holding the post, they are holding that post at his will. Now he is not holding the post of being Paramatma at somebody else's will. Therefore he is the most prominent one. Shvetashvatara Upanishad says very clearly that, somewhere in the middle it comes, that Rudra creates Hiranyagarbha. So therefore even that Shruti Pramana says it clearly that it is this Shiva, as that Sadashiva Paramatma, who is the cause for the entire causation, meaning Brahma and the rest of the world. And also it says that Nasat Nacha Asat Shivaha Kevalaha. Now here Sat and Asat does not mean existent and non-existent. See, the reference of each word accordingly has to be understood. Here Sat and Asat is not to be considered as existence and non-existence, but it is to be understood as manifest and unmanifest. Nasat nacha asat Shivaha eva kevalaha. So the manifest, unmanifest, and the cause for both manifest and unmanifest. He is beyond all these three and he alone exists. Shivaha eva kevalaha. And then the other Upanishads also say Sadeva Saumya idamagra asit and Atma eva idamagre. All these indicate that Agriya, that which is the one which is existing before all this came into existence, alone can be called as Prathama. He is also called Prathama because when a sadhak sincerely sits and tries to find a path, he is the one who first gives that spurana, the inspiration. And that inspiration to seek this Lord and find, to be steadfast on that path. So that first inspiration, that which is given, or the one who gives that, therefore he is called Prathama. Like, the president of a nation is often referred to as the first person of the nation, the first citizen of the nation. Similarly, for this entire cosmos is put together, who is this Paramatma? Prathama, the first person. And Skandadeva in his Bhashya, he says, Vishwa Agraya Tatha Pradhana Purushaya Idam Namaha Astute. Salutations to you, the one who are the first in the cosmos, and also to you who is the foremost among all that which is created. Namo Agriyacha Prathamayacha. The one who is the most. So if many people ask, of these various gods, who is it that is to be worshipped? Yudhishthira also seemed to be confused, and he, after the Mahabharata war, asked the similar question. Kimekam daivatam loke kimvapyekam parayanam. He has a similar question wherein he says, there are so many gods, who should I worship? And Bhishmaji's answer is very simple. He says, worship that Paramatma. And because you don't understand that Paramatma, your Ishtadeva, for you he is standing right in front of you, worship him. He is talking, referring to Bhagavan Krishna. Similarly, who is the Agriya Vandita, Prathama Pujita? Is that Paramatma alone. And all these worships done go unto that Paramatma alone. Whatever be the name and form that we all worship, it does not matter. Now, from this standpoint, many Mahatmas have said, how does it matter what religion? As long as you believe in that Supreme and worship that Supreme sincerely with devotion. There cannot be multiple kinds of Paramatmas. Hindu Paramatma or a Muslim Paramatma and Christian Paramatma or a Jewish Paramatma. If there are that many Paramatmas, he is not Paramatma in first place. This is inter-religious. Now, intra-religious, it is not to be said, it is not to be understood that Vishnu alone is Paramatma or Shiva alone is Paramatma or various other forms. There is one Paramatma who expresses in multiple forms. And to him, all this which we offer as puja. So recently there was this Amma, she asked me, Swamiji, they say that you have to first worship Ganesha and then worship the rest of them. Our family tradition was to worship Venkateshwara, Balaji. But I have been initiated by my Guru to worship Shiva Puja, Shivarchana. Now I am little confused. Which one to perform first and which one to perform later? Ganesha Vandana is done, then who? Who takes the sequence? So I told her, whichever one you do, they will adjust. Because finally, where is it going to? Sarvam Keshavam Pratigacchati. It is going to that Paramatma alone. So you don't worry. There was one, what are the Shiva Bhaktas called in the Tamil tradition, the Veera Shaiva? Nayanars? Nayanars. So there is one Nayanar, his story is, I like his story the best. The innocence with which he comes. So the story goes that he is in a tradition of constantly, every day he will wake up, take a shower, go in front of Lord Shiva and read the entire Shiva Purana. In a Tamil there is a different version of Shiva Purana, it is a small version, I don't know what they call it. So every day it is his job to read entire Shiva Purana. He does it with such devotion. So one day his father sends him and he calculates that he can come back by late night and early morning he can again continue with his puja. But he gets stuck in bad weather somewhere in between in a forest, and luckily the shelter that he gets is in a small old dilapidated Shiva temple. He says, okay, you wanted me to spend my time here at night with you, so be it. So in the morning he goes to the nearby river, takes a bath and comes back, and now he is like, I don't have my book. What do I do? I have to read that Shiva Purana. What do I do? So he says, he comes with a brilliant plan. And the brilliant plan is, each syllable of the Akshara Mala, he chants it 1,000 times. And he says at the end, the prayer, he says, O Lord, You know the sequence of where these different alphabets have to be used in your Purana. So you please rearrange it accordingly. If you find them in abundance, keep them as surplus, bonus. But my chanting of Purana today is done. The innocence with which he does that, and the discipline that he wants to adhere to, wherein he does not want to break it, that sincerity. When he can rearrange the entire alphabets to make Shiva Purana out of it for the devotee, do you think they will mind? Can you close your eyes and visualize that there is Venkateshwara and there is Shiva, and they are like pushing each other to get into that threshold and say, worship me now. It doesn't matter. Because every worship is worshipping that paramatma alone. Agriya cha prathamaya cha. Continuing. Repeat after me. Nama ashave chajiraya cha. Nama ashave cha ajiraya cha. Nama, salutations. Ashave. Ashave, that one who pervades everything quickly. That quickly is a key word to be understood. Ajiraya. Ajiraya, to the one who moves very fast and brisk in any movement. So what is the first meaning? Ashave, to the one who pervades into everything quickly. Ajiraya, the one who moves with fastness and briskness in any movement. To such Bhagavan Shiva, to such Lord, salutations and prostrations. Now the root word of Ashave is Asha dhatu. Ashnoti. Ashnoti means to pervade. Ashave means asamantat ashnoti. Ashanoti. Asamantat ashanoti, meaning that which pervades through everything quickly. Now this is to be understood if the second shade of meaning is also understood. What does Ashave mean? The second shade of meaning is the one who has conquered all the sense organs, organs of perception and organs of action. Having controlled these organs of perception and action, it has to be guided by the mind through to the world of objects and material. Now through this organs of perception action, it is that paramatma alone who is able to perceive, who is able to cognize everything in this world. As the cognition happens through the eyes, ears, mouth, nose and the skin, it can be cognized only if it is existing. So before the organs of perception action go there to cognize, he should already exist in that form for us to cognize. So Ashave meaning, before the sense organs can reach to perceive something, that which already exists in that form, therefore can be perceived. Does it make sense? Bouncer. Do you see horns on my head? Good. I am not talking to Balavihar kids. You know how dangerous a question it is in front of them. Do you see hair on my head? What is that? Some, at least it is there, right? It is not none. Okay, let us take a better example. Do you see chandan on my forehead? Oh my. Even this session has become like a balviyar. So do you see chandan on my forehead? Why do you see it? There are various answers that can be given. Because I have my eyes open. Even if your eyes are open, it should exist here in first place for you to see. Right? Everything that you see, perceive, hear, feel, touch, smell, taste, that field of experience can be experienced by these organs of perception only when that paramatma is in that vastu, in that form for us to experience. And look at the speed. Now I look here and I see you. And I look there, I don't see you. No. I see something else. So before the eyes can move from that which is being perceived here to something else that which is being perceived there, it is as if that the paramatma is quick enough to reach there and appear in that format as well. So what does ashave actually mean? See, the mind cannot cognize the vyapakatva, but it can assimilate or grasp the idea of something which is very fast. So therefore the Rishi he is trying to tell that which can be experienced with the speed at which you are trying to experience the world, he appears in every form, every format. That one is Bhagavan Shiva, Ashave, therefore salutations to him. And what is the net understanding here? Yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhaya. Wherever the mind goes, and this is not for an initial seeker definitely, because even if the mind is not going anywhere else, we have enough troubles inside that we don't have focus and restfulness and peace. But for an evolved seeker, there is nothing which is not divine, that there is nothing which is bad or evil. Wherever the mind pervades, because it gets in touch with every aspect of that existential reality, so that mind always remains in samadhi. So to be able to perceive that all-pervasive tattva which seems to be moving faster than the mind, that tattva is called ashave. अब समझ में आया कुछ? Because earlier you said no, you can always say no again. We can move next word. Is it clear? Somewhat? Okay. Ashave Namaha. In, I think, Ishavasyopanishad it comes, Anejadekam manaso javiyo, Anejat manasaha javiyaha. Anejat, ejat, to move. Anejat, that which does not need to move. Though it does not need to move, it still appears to be faster than the mind. Manaso javiyaha. So that tattva here is being referred to as ashave. Ajiraya, ajiraha gamana kushalaha iti. That he can appear in any movement. Meaning what? The entire world is in constant movement. All these movements are happening in him. When we understand this tattva, what is the practical implication of this? There is no movement or there is nothing that is happening which is unwarranted or ugly or not supposed to happen. In his grand scheme of things, they are things that are happening so that there is a constant process of evolution for each jiva that aspires to grow. Meaning in his creation there are no mistakes. That is why he is called Prathama, whereas we are called Pramada. Do you know what Pramada means, right? That which is the cause for all Pramada. Pramada, mistakes. He is Prathama and we are Pramada. The second one, Pramada means Prakarshena Madayate. Mada is to have lot of ego. Prakarshena, and we supersize ourselves. Supersize me. Now here is that paramatma who is ajiraha gamana kushalaha. That in every movement, whether it is the earth moving or whether it is the winds moving, in all movements, it is that paramatma alone who is enabling the movement to exist. Namo ashave cha ajiraya cha. So this entire creation which is in constant flux, though there is flux and movement, it is well contained to the level of it is almost like orchestrated by someone. And he seems to be fastly adaptable to all movements and expressed through as these movements. In the Vedas, they recognize this both Ashave and Ajiraya, both put together in one term. It is called Urukrama. Now, what is Urukrama? The same meaning which I have just explained. So, Vedas also recognize this with the other word called Urukrama. Though not moving, but appears faster than the fastest and appears in and through as the movement itself. Therefore, Ashave Achirayacha Namaha. Now moving forward, the next shloka, next yajush or mantra. Namah Shighriya cha Shibhyaya cha. Now the last three yajush, they seem to be speaking in some completely coded language. Because suddenly Paramatma is referred to as various kinds of movements of waters. Namah Shighriya cha. Salutations to that one who is Shighriya. Shighriya, the water which is flowing with lot of speed. So if you go to Gangaji up until Devaprayag, There is no rhyme or rhythm to her movements. Very fast, very majestic, but very fast. She is coming down in different different streams. There are, I think, seven different kinds of sangama, and each sangama is called Prayag. The final one is Yamuna meeting Gangaji. So before that there are 6. So Alakananda, Bhagirathi, Son Ganga, Deva Ganga, various kinds of streams come and gather, and there is no rhyme or rhythm, they just flow with such speed. Shigriyaya. Gurudev used to say, look at Bhagirathi. She almost reminds the meaning by Bhagti Reti. Bhagti Reti means constantly running, as if she has some urgent appointment to go meet someone somewhere. So she is constantly rushing. So such rushed flow is called Shigriyaya. Shibhyaya. Shibhyaya is that flow of water which is still swift and fast, but there is a beauty to it, there is a rhythm to it. And then she starts flowing with that rhythm. So once you get to Rishikesh, which is like about 18-19 kilometers north of Haridwar. Again, there also there is a constant debate to call it Haridwar or Haradwar, because that is the entrance for both Kedarnath and Badrinath. There also people fight. I think there was a Supreme Court case also wanting to claim whether it is Haridwar or Haradwar. How does it matter? It is further north of Haridwar, and that is where truly Gangaji reaches plains. Okay. How is the flow there? It appears very constant, as if there is no movement. Has anybody here taken a bath, a dip in Gangaji in Rishikesh? If you have travelled with me, I would have not allowed it. Because it is unseemingly fast. Here it doesn't appear though. Sit on the banks, cautiously put your leg into the stream. And I am not making this up. You put your leg and you will find yourself moved. Does she have any movement? It doesn't appear as though she has that kind of wavy movement, but the speed, it's consistent. Because just she has landed from the steep hills, reached the plains, where will the speed go? She is in such consuming speed. So such flow is called Shibhyaya. So to the Lord, salutations to the one who manifests himself through the fast unrhythmic movement of water. Salutations to the Lord who is appearing in fast, swift but rhythmic movement of water. I tell you, that's why I said these last 6 words are seemingly in a coded language. So the first 2 kinds of water movement is explained. Now the next The next mantra says, don't worry, we will patch all these 6 words together at the end. They're like, oh, you didn't even explain this. What does it mean? Wait, we'll get to it after we have covered all these words. So the next mantra says, Nama Urmyaya cha Avasvanyaya cha. But when you are reading it, you read it as Chavasvanyaya cha. Just because we are trying to understand the meaning, I broke the sandhi there. Nama Urmyaya, salutations to the one. Urmya, that water which is gushing forth with a roaring sound. Have you ever seen the waves or wavy waters when you sit on the banks of ocean somewhere close by? Even a few miles away, at night when everything is silent, you open the balcony door, stand there. There is such a roaring sound that you can hear. So that water which is flowing with a roaring sound is called Urmyaya. Urmi is to make sound. So that water which is making roaring sound. Avasvanyaya cha. Vasvan is to make noise. Avasvan, that which is silent, still, calm. There is neither movement nor there is any kind of swiftness to it. It is composed. So salutations to that Lord who is in the waters making roaring sound. Salutations to that Lord who is now not flowing waters but a composed state of quietude, stillness. The last Yajush, repeat after me. Namasrotasyaya cha Dvipyaya cha. Salutations to that Lord Shiva who is appearing in the form of Srotasya. Srotasya, there are 2 meanings. One, it can be interpreted as waterfalls. That water which is like a falling mass of water, waterfalls. Or the floods, the waters flooding. So flooding or the waterfalls. So the Lord who is appearing in the waters as waterfalls or in the form of floods. Dvipyaya cha. Dvipyaya cha again has 2 meanings. One, within the flow of water you will find sometimes there are these little islands, masses of earth around which the water circles around and flows. So those waters which envelop the dvipa or the mass of earth and go around it, flow around it. So such flow of water is called dvipyaya cha. The second meaning is even more amazing, that it is not that the river is flowing around these masses of earth, but it is the river, it is the islands, Saptadvipa Vasundhara, 7 continents. They are all enveloped across Meaning it can, Dvipyaya here can mean Sagar, the ocean waters, that which is covering the masses of earth in 7 different continents. Dvipyaya cha. It just reminded me, while you are going to Kedarnath, there is one place called Srinagar. This is not that Srinagar which is near Jammu and Kashmir. This is in Uttaranchal. And I met a Mahatma who was talking about the Sthala Purana or Sthala Mahatmya. And he showed me, there is this, usually when there is a mountain or something, a mass of a huge piece of earth around which the water, the river is flowing, how is the shape of that piece of earth? It is usually, top is like a mountain and then rest of it spreads down. But this one place, it is a very peculiar formation. It is like this, into the water. It is right there in that city called Srinagar. Then he showed me that piece of marvel, and he said, because of that, this place got acquired the name called Srinagar. I said, oh, what do you mean? Then he said, Adi Shankaracharya ji identified this huge monolithic stone or mountain piece, and he got a mountainous size of Sri Chakra built, carved on that stone. The Meru itself is about few. He didn't know the actual. He said it's more than measurable. The Meru, if you have seen Sri Chakra in a 3 dimension, the Meru is on the top. The Meru itself is so big that it is embedded into that riverbed, and the entire Sri Chakra is upside down. So that dvipa of Sri Chakra, therefore the city that developed around is called Srinagar. So you will find that such places, pockets wherein the land is covered all around by the flowing waters. Sometimes you have to be careful. Huh? The first time I went to Chardham, I was ecstatic because I was in Himalayas. It had been my dream. I was about 19 years old, just freshly Diksha, nice shiny head because it's freshly shaven, bright yellow clothes because new clothes given. And the first yatra was to trek from Gangotri to Gomukh. And with me being just 19-year-old and the rest of them on an average being 30, 35 plus. So they were way behind. And I was in an ecstatic mode, so I had already run the entire stretch of 18 kilometers. And for miles behind, there were nobody from our team that had gone. So there was about 3 or 4 kilometers left. So I had this brilliant idea. That's why in mountain paths, if there is a path made, follow the path. Don't try to create your own. I learnt it a hard way. They said instead of going up and down these different valleys, why not just go along with the shores of Gangaji? That should be easier. And there came a point wherein it was a steep cut of the mountain and Gangaji was flowing and there was no road to the other side. I was like, oh, now I had to climb all the way up and come. I was not willing to. So as a mere investigation, I found that it was not long, it was maybe from here to half the distance of the first person sitting there, that much distance. But even that is an unnecessary thing to test. So I saw right in the middle there was this mass of earth. I said, lucky. So I went back, ran, put my foot aimed on that piece of land. Yadgatva nanivartante. That is when I realized, when my foot hit that piece of land, that it was sand settled on ice piece. A piece of iceberg which had broken up and it had settled there. The waters there are not very cold. They are actually biting cold. It's like just fresh off of the glaciers. So the piece of glacier was sitting there. On that there was sand and the color of it was earth color. I stepped on it. It was like this big. Okay, this is not like small one. It was this big, and I jumped on it. It did not slip. It was a thin layer of ice. It caved in. Luckily, the speed with which I jumped, it pushed me to the other side, like close by. And remember, I don't know swimming. Not then, not now. Luckily, some devotee had given all brahmacharis the massive size umbrellas. Those umbrellas, you can use them as walking sticks as well. So I was holding the tip, the metal end of it, the handle end of it, fortunately got stuck between two rocks on the other side. That's how I pulled myself out and got to the other side. So when you see a dvipa, don't jump in. Sometimes there can be quicksand also. You don't know. So you have to be careful. Dvipyayacha. The first thing that I got reminded of was that dvipa, my first experience. So these 6 set of words, what do they mean? In fact, what is being talked about here is definitely that in every aspect of this prapancha, even in waters, paramatma exists. He is antaryami, therefore he exists in everything. One meaning. A deeper meaning from Shigriyaya to Dvipyaya, all these different references, is actually speaking of the mind of the seeker going through various phases of one's own sadhana. When one begins the sadhana, how is the sadhana process? How is the flow of mana udaka, the flow of the waters of the mind? Shighriyayacha. Shighriyayacha, it has got such intense flow, unstoppable as if, that even before we realize we are lost in that flow. Inaccessible flow of water. That is how our mind is in the beginning. Shighriyayacha. Shibhyayacha. Now how do you control that mind? You give that mind a purposeful direction. You cannot initiate that mind directly into samadhi. It's an impossible task. That's why many people when they come ask, Do you have meditation sessions at Chinmaya Mission? I used to conduct, now I see the futility of it, I have stopped. Practically speaking, what do people do? They come early in the morning, 6:30, from a horizontal position to a vertical position to continue the same. At the end of it, give me some credit saying, today's meditation was superb. क्यों नहीं खर्राटे मार के सो रहे थे? You are sleeping away, snoring. An uninitiated mind cannot be directly taken into that stretch of samadhi. What is it that the mind has to be then elevated into? Shibhyayacha. Shibhyayacha dharma karya rataha manaha shibhyaha iti. Inspire that mind to lead dharmic activity, meaning all that which should be done would be done because it is righteous to be done, and that is the reason for performing it. It is not based on whether you like it or don't like it. And in all certainty, who likes responsibilities? Is there anybody who likes responsibilities? When young, our responsibility was to study. Did you like? Because all that we would want to do is play. At that time we are in an eagerness to grow. Having grown, to realize that that was the best time of life. Because the overwhelming responsibility of study was the only responsibility. The other responsibilities were not there. Dharma karya rataha manaha ityartaha. So the mind is directed with the purposefulness of performing righteous deeds so that it can grow out of the purpose of performing and fulfilling these responsibilities is not because we like them or dislike them, but we perform them so that we can grow out of our likes and dislikes. Do you see the difference? Because the Western mindset will again and time and again teach that you should love what you are doing, But the Vedantic way of looking at it is good if you can find something that you can love and do. But the purpose of fulfilling responsibilities or dharma karya rataha is not to like it or dislike it, but to grow out of likes and dislikes we have to perform. That mindset is called shibhyaya. Shibhya. Urmyaya cha. Urmyaya means dharana vrittihi ityartaha. Now urmya, if you remember, how was the water? Urmi means to make lot of noise, roaring sound. That mind which is contained in the banks of dharma is now tamed. How is it tamed? With the roaring sound of the Veda Ghosha, Vedanada, with the Vedic mantras, and the roaring sound of Japa. How long has this Japa to be performed? As long as it takes us to the next stage. If somebody asks, how long will you drink water? As much as it takes to quench my thirst. I have been doing my japa for 3 years, nothing happened. Another 300 lives, nothing will happen because there is something wrong happening. Because most of us, in the name of japa, we are on a number race. We are trying to rush through. Try to accomplish a marathon in japa. So you will find people doing Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. What are you doing? Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram. Don't just spit it out. There is a technique wherein you chant it in synchronization with your breath. You will find the maximum impact benefit of that japa. And as an initial seeker, don't right away start doing your japa. I'll do it in my mind. Yeah, you can do it in your mind if the mind is accessible. It's all over the place. So that mind which is all over the place, how do you bring it into condition? Before the other thoughts can bring their floods, you roar it down to numbness with loud chanting of loud enough that you can hear. Not that early on you wake up and be a nuisance to everybody around you, including your family members. Why? I am doing sadhana. We used to have some brahmacharis studying in the ashram. So they would have posters and placards outside their door. Japa in progress, don't disturb. Like road under construction, men at work, fines double, something like that they would put. You don't need to be a cause of disturbance. Do it as loud as you can hear it yourself. That way no other sound becomes distraction. Urmyaya cha. After Urmyaya, Avasvanyaya cha. The mind has become accessible and still. This stillness is not samadhi yet. It is a platform required for going further. It is that prepared mind, when you whip it into action, it will jump into action with thoughts, and when not required, it can stay silent. Urmyaya cha, Avasvanyaya cha. Next, in such prepared mind, with such prepared mind, you have to dive deep. Flood that entire mind with devotion. That is called srotasya. Flood that mind with devotion. Then when the mind finally merges, dvipyaya cha, you will find yourself surrounded from all directions, all possible aspects, with that paramatma tattva only. And that is called samadhi sthiti. So these last 6 words describing the Lord are in fact describing the steps of a sincere seeker trying to evolve in the path of spirituality. Shigriyaya cha, shibhyaya cha, urmyaya cha, avasvanyaya cha, srotasyaya cha, dvipyaya cha. Actually, we can do a workshop on all 6. Just a thought came. 6 stages of evolution in sadhana. Maybe a teacher's sadhana day on this. I don't know, I'm just speaking out loud right now. So these are the 6 steps one has to remember. So if somebody comes and says, "Oh, my mind is running all over the place," congratulations. Congratulations, because that is the first stage, shibhyaya cha. However much I try, I am not trying, there is a lot of resistance. Then evolve into shibhyaya cha. Roar away to glory with the mantra. Chant. In fact, I tell people, sometimes when you are angry, in that emotion, instead of saying cuss words or bad words or unnecessary words, what do? Take the Rudra Prashana. Agriya vachishritaha. With all your emotions, speak that out loud. Vagriya hridayam vayi. You don't know the power of mantra. You sincerely sit there and chant. Even if you understand, now that you should understand the meaning. Even without understanding, just sit and chant that mantra intensely. All tensions will be gone. That is the power of mantra. I don't do it mechanically. Having said that, to maintain a regularity, if it appears mechanical, don't drop it. Continue even if it is mechanical. As it says, Shraddhaya, Ashraddhaya api. Continue. That day when that mantra drills the hole through the strong surface of the antakarana, and then the juice flows. Then even if somebody asks you to stop, you will not stop. It will constantly keep going. So these are the 6 steps, and follow these 6 steps. Understand where you are and evolve to the next possible state. So we will conclude it today here, to continue with the 6th Anuvaka next time we meet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. O Shant Shant Shantihi. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Can you please you can take the envelopes for offering the Guru Dakshina.